I have a couple of questions for you today. If your answer is yes, please give me a show of hands. Have you ever seen a person with visual impairment? Great. But do you have a friend who is visually impaired? Okay, wonderful. Now here is a fun one. Have you ever been for a coffee with a person with visual impairment? Okay, thank you for being honest. Just like most of you, if someone would have asked this question to me, say 12 years ago, I would have been able to raise my hand just for the first one. The rest, never experienced. The first time I accompanied a person with visual impairment was just to become their scribe. I remember one day I was assisting a girl with visual impairment. While I got a call to become a scribe for two visually impaired students. And guess what? I was writing two exam papers for two different students simultaneously because there were no volunteers. With all the frustration I had, I went back to the student I was assisting earlier. She smiled and said, "Calm down, that's common." Today, she is the co founder of my organization. I realized the real problem wasn't just the lack of accessibility. It was the lack of society's awareness about people with disability. Too often, we choose easier way by offering a short-term help, which only makes them even dependent or leaves them excluded. What we truly need is a change in mindset, where we bring people together, not just to help and support people with disability, but to listen to them and to be led by them. And that's how Team Vision Foundation was born. The journey, which started from that classroom, has traveled across to achieve multiple milestones. But inclusivity, the very first goal of organization, it's a simple word to say, but very difficult to understand. Since I have also been a primary school educator at one point of time, I used to weave these ideas of inclusion into a series, and I called it Vowels of Inclusion. Let me share that with you. A stands for awareness and acceptance. We need to understand that people come from diverse backgrounds. This can be their social, economical, cultural backgrounds. They may have different preferences, abilities, disabilities, and also unique ways of doing certain things. When we become aware of these differences, we start learning to accept people the way they are, without labeling them as special or separate. For an example, a student with learning disability is mostly left aside during group assignments because other classmates assume that they may not be able to contribute much. We tend to underestimate their abilities and capacities too quickly. What we actually need to understand are the proper ways of including them. What we need is a change in mindset, or say a shift in perspective, where we start looking at people as what they can do instead of what they cannot. And that shift in perspective brings us to our second vowel, E, for empathy. Empathy is about being able to create a safe space where we become incredibly curious listeners. We push aside our biases and start feeling the way others feel. But here is a question. Do we really start a conversation with people? Or we just try to help them without asking? I remember a funny incident here. A person with visual impairment was standing near a busy highway crossing. A stranger just grabbed their hand and made them cross the road. Did we even stop to ask if they wanted to cross the road? They might be waiting for someone. Empathy helps us in moving beyond these assumptions and understanding people for who they truly are. Not just as problems to be fixed, but as individuals with their unique stories of strengths and struggles. And that's how we reach our next vowel, I, for integration. It's a stage where people with diverse backgrounds and irrespective of their abilities or disabilities come together. When people with disabilities socialize beyond their limited circles, they get access to wider community. Their presence in day-to-day life assures that there is increasing awareness, and that helps in breaking down the stereotypes. But integration constantly needs introspection. Imagine inviting a wheelchair user for a conference on disability, but the venue does not have ramps or any accessibility features. We may bring people together, but that doesn't mean that we have created equal opportunities for them to participate, to share their thoughts, and express their emotions. Integration needs constant introspection because even though we bring people together, we need proper awareness, assistance, and empathy because that compels us to ask important questions. Is this integration truly consensual? Is it respectful? Is it accessible and fair for all? And that's how we reach our next vowel. O for openness. Openness to adapt, openness to change, openness to improve. We need to ask ourselves, are we truly open enough to learning and adapting to different ways of interacting with people with disability? For an example, having a sign language interpreter can assure that every person with hard of hearing or hearing impairment is also included in every important conversation. And this small action can create a huge difference. And that's how we reach our final vowel of unleashing the power of diversity. Think about it. How often do we try and understand things beyond how they look? Through my many conversations with people with visual impairment, I have discovered unique and different ways of understanding the world around me. I started paying attention to small textures, structures, shapes, which I never noticed before. It's so amazing to realize that how much depth and richness that we miss when we just focus on the visuals. Diversity helps us unlock these new ways of understanding and appreciating the world around us. My theory, Vowels of Inclusion, has been my most important tool in becoming a social entrepreneur. While building a purpose-driven organization, I practice these tools of Vowels of Inclusion to include my community in every decision I took. Creating a truly inclusive space doesn't require huge resources. What it requires is purpose and perseverance. By listening carefully to the community and working together to find solutions, we can create lasting impact. Letting your community lead can make your model truly sustainable. But remember, inclusion is just a process. What we should aim to achieve is normalization. Next time when we meet, and if I ask if you have friends with visual impairment, can we assure that all of us raise our hands? Can it be that common to find a person with any disability dancing and enjoying in a club? Yes, it can be. And we are going to make it. Thank you.